Hello, and welcome to What Are We Talking About with Jamie Jakes. I am him, and we are here to make you some money. Jacob, do this with your fingers. Miles, here we go. Money! Because we are going to preview and recommend our bets for every game in the Week 6 slate of the NFL season. So let's get it going. We are going to pull up these live odds sponsored by no sportsbook in particular. But there is one sportsbook that does look really nice the way they optically put their lines out. So that is the one we use. And those are the lines that we go off of. Mr. James, how you feeling about this slate coming up, buddy?
I got a less picks than the last couple of weeks here. I think there's some great lines out here to be made. And any gambling company that's watching, please feel free to sponsor us. And
literally anyone, if you're not even reputable, will still take your money.
No.
Like
if you're a local bookie, please sponsor us.
Even if you only operate in Dogecoin, we'll still work with you.
Yeah, well, I might be able to ask my neighbors if that's the case. Mr. Miles, talking at the bottom of the screen. How you feeling, buddy?
Feeling good, man. Just, how my one saving grace from last week was that Miami prediction, and I'm just going to rest on that laurel for the entire podcast.
Yep. Speaking of which, last week James recommended Jags money line, so shout out to James.
Duval,
big plus bet. Jacob was not on last week. How you feeling, Jacob? Have you hit any big bets so far this season?
I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like I've been on point for the most part going along this year, but I'm excited. I have a few picks this week that I think are going to hit.
Hell yeah. As a train goes by the studio
That's
here.
The money train. That
is the money train.
It's coming to the
chugging along.
This week, baby. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
all aboard,
yeah.
baby. Let's go.
All aboard. We're hitting every single bet that we recommend today, starting with Thursday night. The Denver Broncos are going into KC. No word on whether who will be in attendance or not. Travis Kelce sounds like he's in. Did have a little bitty ankle sprain, but he shook it off, shook it off, and he got back out on the field, and he blocked the first time he got back in. Looked fine. He'll be fine. Low ankle sprain. He's a tough Ohio boy. He'll be just A-okay. Facing the Denver Broncos, my fifth worst team, facing my sixth favorite team. The sixth favorite team being at home. 10.5 point favorites, which makes absolutely no sense because they should be like 14.5 point favorites, which is why I am riding that Kansas City cannot cover a big spread train straight to Cashtown, and I'm riding with the Denver Broncos plus 10.5. I can't get enough of it. It's Thursday night. We're here to party. You know who else is here to party? Russell Wilson. Kid loves to party. Kid's going to throw 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and the Chiefs aren't going to cover. And that's why I'm taking the Broncos plus 10.5. James, you're up.
Oh, man. This is probably the last chance that Taylor Swift does have to attend the NFL game for her new schedule coming out for this year.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, 18th, I believe, is her next show coming in Miami or Atlanta.
Breaking news.
Somewhere in the Southeast. So this might be the last chance to see Taylor Swift before the new year. I like the over in this one. I think this one's going to be a barn burner. I didn't personally bet it. I lean that way on this one. But I do think you're right. Russell Wilson might have some cooking, and Kansas City is known for people who think Chipotle is spicy. So they can't handle the heat. They might lose out of the kitchen, but probably not lose the game, but they might lose that.
Hell yeah. So just a lean for Mr. James. One recommendation so far on Thursday night. Jacob, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not super excited on that line. I think I would definitely lean Broncos with the points. I just don't think Chiefs are running up the score on them in this one.
Hell yeah. And Mr. Miles?
My gut reaction is I feel like the Chiefs beating the Broncos for all the reasons we discussed during our power rankings earlier. This should be a no-brainer for the Kansas City Chiefs to cover that, but I 100% agree that I cannot confidently bet this one. I lean towards the Chiefs by 11, but it's just they're both too – the Denver Broncos have enough talent on offense that they could keep it close, and the Kansas City Chiefs have been so – just inconsistent that it's hard to be confident. If I had to bet anything on this one, I would agree with James. I think over 48 is probably the safest bet on all of these options, but I would not do more than a lean on this one. I don't recommend the bet.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't mind the plus 10.5 and over 48 as like a little cherry on top. I'm not going to officially recommend that for, gambling purposes, but that's a tasty little treat. Like, I could see, the Chiefs putting up 30 points, right, in this game pretty easily against this lackluster Broncos defense. But I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. And historically, Miles Francis, not going to overthink anything when it comes to
not my strong suit.
Said that last week, literally. And he is looking a no-brainer bet in the face and being like, I ain't taking it. There's something fishy going on with those, script writers over there in Kansas City. And that's why I don't want it. I want the Broncos. Chiefs are going to win by 7.5 points exactly because that's the way the script writers wanted it. Moving on to our next 8 a.m. game. I don't know about you guys, but I am absolutely loving these 8 a.m. games. Waking up, getting some coffee, putting some Baileys in the cup, and just sipping it and watching an NFL game to start your morning. The Baltimore Ravens are meeting up with the Tennessee Titans, and the Titans are getting 4.5 points in a neutral venue. The Ravens minus 4.5. I am going to lay off of this game. According to my power rankings, the Ravens are the 7th best team in the NFL. The Titans are not in my top 10, but I'm never going to bet against Vrabel getting points in a neutral site. So I'm not even going to give you a lean in this situation. I'm just going to toss it over to James. You like this game at all, buddy?
Oh, I think we might be liking this game a little bit. I will say that if you're a true degenerate gambler at 8:30 a.m. in the morning, you have bought a $5 bottle of Andre at Kroger and some Minute Maid orange juice and getting some mimosas on if you really want to have a good time. I really love this game. I mean, this game has been such a fun matchup to watch over the past years. These guys hate each other. Vrabel and Harbaugh are not friends in any sense of the word. And I love plus 160 of this. I think it's truly a toss-up. Either team could really come out of this. It's a rivalry game. It's going to be a crazy matchup. And when you're getting plus 160 on that kind of game, I definitely take it. So I'm definitely taking the Titans, taking the money line, plus 160. Grabbed it at plus 170, actually. So make sure you shop your lines, kids.
Yep, shop your lines. We just go off of this sports book in particular, just because, like I said, optically, like the black background with the logos looks really nice for,
especially on that football field background you have, dude. That's popping.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it looks great, right? So that's why we use these numbers specifically. So yes, obviously, shop your lines. You should have. How many outs do you have, James? Theoretically, because we're in Texas.
I unfortunately have lost a lot of outs due to local bookies saying I win too much money. So I'm down to 4 at this point, but it was at 1.10. So
okay. Yeah, so shop your lines, kids at home. Jacob Marshall, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm actually in a similar boat with James here. I love the money line for the Titans. I would consider a little parlay action, maybe bet the under as well. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I do not think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I could very well see this finish being 17-14 Titans. So I am taking the Titans money line, and I am betting the under.
Yeah, I kind of like that, you guys. Just, feels like a coin flip game to me. 4.5 isn't enough to get me all the way on the Titans, plus 4.5. But if you're looking at plus 160, I'm not a big fan of betting money lines in the NFL in general. But this one, I like where your guys' head's at. Miles, what do you think?
I don't know if I hate the idea of watching these two play or getting up at 8:30 in the morning more. Like they're both terrible options in my opinion. This looks like just a really ugly game. You have the Baltimore Ravens way overrated on your list, in my opinion. We already talked about that. Tennessee has arguably been maybe in your top 5, should have been in your bottom 5. I mean, I don't want to bet on this game. I don't want to watch this game. If I was forced to, I would do the under because I don't think these teams are capable of scoring 40 points.
Yeah, that's a pretty low under for an NFL game. Speaking of low unders for NFL games, when one of the teams is probably the second best offense in the NFL, San Francisco 49ers, an over-under of 37.5. The Cleveland Browns have a major issue. I'll probably do a different video on this channel, especially if Mr. Deshaun Watson for the Cleveland Browns does not play with this shoulder bruise, which they then doubled down and be like, well, it's a bruise, and he was cleared medically last week, 2 weeks ago before the bye week, even though he's still not practicing. It is just a bruise, but it's a rotator cuff bruise, just to make it sound a little worse. Even though there's no real injury concerns, re-aggravation concerns, you know, you get the blood pumping in a contusion, you get the blood moving in a bruise, and guess what? That shoulder's going to start loosening up in the second and the third quarter. I don't care how your first 3 balls you threw felt in warm-ups. You're medically cleared to play. You're an NFL player. And I get that you make the same amount of money because your contract's fully guaranteed, but fucking get on the football field and play football, Deshaun Watson. Anyways, give me the San Francisco 49ers. I don't care who's playing quarterback. 5.5, best bet of the week. Smash value. Even Cleveland Browns Twitter is already like, well, this is, you know, any given Sunday kind of conversations going around Cleveland Browns Twitter after we just watched a good football team in the Cowboys just get absolutely slaughtered by the Niners. They've had the worst, you know, one of the worst schedules so far, the Niners, in terms of, you know, quality opponents. But the Browns at this point in their season, not a quality opponent. I think also Joel Bitonio walking around in crutches, heart and soul of the offensive line, really the only good offensive lineman on the team at the moment, after the center went down as well. You know, give me the Niners. Give me -5.5. Give me the Niners -14.5. You know, give me an alternate spread. That's 5.5. Should be 8.5. Give me the Niners all day. James, what do you think?
Yeah, it was interesting. As you were speaking, I hopped on to see what the team totals were, and they're giving only 21.5. The Niners on the over/under, and the over's even money range. I was not expecting. I might even have to add that to my slate. That seems incredibly low. You know, even if this is a trap game, any given Sunday, Browns pull this out. There's no way they're holding them to less than 21 points. Can they hold them to 21 exactly? Maybe, but if you're going to give me over 21.5 points, the Niners at even money. So last minute add to the slate here, but I'm going to take that.
So you took Niners team
over
total
21.5 points.
Over 21.5 points. I like it. This Cleveland Browns defense has been extremely dominant. It's still a top 3 defense in the NFL without question. I think I don't know. I honestly don't know what the Cowboys defense is without Diggs, because ever since they lost Diggs, they've looked really, really bad as a cat jumps into the screen behind me. I'm just going to stick. I could see the Niners just shutting out the Browns. So if anything, I lean the under and -5.5. But that's just mathematically not a good bet to make because there's only so many points the Niners can score and still cover that 5.5. So I'm staying off it. I just the over-under aspect, but the Niners is just best value of the week. Honestly, I'm going to recommend a couple more bets. I might bet like 90% of my purse this week on the Niners and then just do $2 bets everywhere else. Jacob Marshall, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you, Jamie. I think 49ers -5.5 is like a no-brainer. Over under, it's low, but I mean, I could see this game being 31-7. I could see it being
11-0.
20-14. Not 20-14. That's not true. I mean, I could see it being 31-3. I don't want to touch that over under. I think all in on Niners 5.5, -5.5.
Yeah, Browns coming off a bye. Defense is going to be back to healthy 100% again. Might be tough sledding for the Niners early on, but I believe enough in Brock Purdy, to put up 11 points, which I think might cover this 5.5 point spread. Miles, what do you think?
49ers by 5.5 is essentially the NFL giving out a stimulus check. Like it's like when Trump was handing out money and he signed the check himself. Allegedly, Christian McCaffrey is going to personally sign my stimulus check on this bet. Like I said with Miami last week, take all your money, take a high end loan, put it all on the 49ers covering 5.5 points.
Yeah, by the way, I don't care which president is signing my checks. If that check is going to my bank account, I'll take it. I'm a libertarian, by the way, so that's pretty inconsistent. Anyways, moving on. Carolina Panthers facing the Miami Dolphins. The Carolina Panthers, one of the worst teams in the NFL. I said they were the fourth worst. Y'all said, you sure about that? They might be even worser than that. 13.5 points at Miami. I don't know what the weather is going to be like. You always got to be
rainy. It is a rainy day in Miami.
A rainy game in Miami. High flying offense. Achane, Achane goes down with what sounds like a pretty bad knee injury. Second injury already in the NFL. One in the preseason that held him out all preseason, and now a new fun knee injury for Achane for the Miami Dolphins, superstar running back. So how do the Dolphins cover 13.5 in the rain? I don't trust them in doing that. I don't trust the Panthers scoring a lot of points either. I'm laying off of this game. James, what do you think?
Yeah, I would think the only thing that's interesting to me is the rain, 70% precipitation at kickoff. Pretty interesting. I don't know. I might actually be leaning Carolina or the under here. I think this game is not going to be as much of a barn burner as people think. Is it going to be a 14-point win by the Dolphins? It probably could be 21, but that's it's 28 to 7. So I think the under is probably the only bet that I would take out of this. If, again, gun to my head, you told me not to, but other than that, I agree with you. Not very exciting for that.
Yeah, I'm just going to sit back and watch this game. Why not? Jacob Marshall, what do you think?
This is my hottest bet of the week.
Here we go.
The Miami Dolphins money line. Hell yeah. Let's go.
I will not allow that as a bet on my channel.
Negative 800.
You cannot take a minus 800 bet on my channel and count that towards your win record next week. So an unofficial recommendation from Jacob Marshall, not endorsed by this channel or its subsidiaries.
It is endorsed by my wallet. All right. We're looking
fair
for
enough.
small returns.
Fair enough. So if you got a survivor pool and you got Miami Dolphins still to burn them this week, says Jacob Marshall. Miles, what do you think?
I told you last week the Dolphins would have no problem covering 11. I think y'all are once again hitting that crack pipe too hard. This is a no-brainer. Stop overthinking it. This is one of the best teams in football playing one of the worst teams in football. There's no way they don't put at least 2 touchdowns on top of them. The only reason I wouldn't confidently also bet the over is because I believe Miami is going to have to score all the points by themselves. So I'm not confident in the over, but I'm very confident Miami Dolphins by 13.5, no problem.
Well, Carolina Panthers methodically moved the ball down the field against the Lions last week, who I think we can all agree have a well above average defense, easily top 10 defense in the NFL right now, maybe top 5 when it's all said and done. That Miami defense is not as good as the Lions, so if it is a good weather game, if the rain holds off, if it's not windy, I could see the Panthers kind of sticking in there and kind of getting a last-second touchdown to make the game, within 8 points. So that's why I'm laying off it. But that is your first Miles Francis no-brainer pick of the week, which I absolutely love.
My secret is all my picks are no-brainers.
Moving on to the Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags are flying home, okay? So that's you got to take that into account. This is a home game, but maybe not as valuable of a home game as you would think because they have to travel all the way from England. It's so elegant over there. How are they going to survive at an actual home game after they just played 2 games overseas where they stayed there? That's a long trip. Maybe they're tired coming back home, even though they just beat the Bills. You know, they're kind of feeling themselves. They beat the Bills. They don't realize the Bills had to fly out Friday and play like in 36 hours after they landed from like an 8-hour flight from New York. The Colts have the superior quarterback now under center. They have Jonathan Taylor back. Zach Moss is balling. The only one who's not balling is Alec Pierce. We don't need him. Colts have a good enough defense to cover 4.5 against Jags. I'm going to take Colts and Minshew 4.5 or 4 points to the Jags. James, what do you think?
You know, once again, travel comes into the picture here. And much like last week, with how much I like the Jaguars because they were staying in London, I really don't like the Jaguars because they were staying in London. They've gotten acclimatized to that time zone. I think the Colts had a great opportunity to take one out here. Plus 164. Throw it on them.
I love it. What time is noon? Are these London games?
They were playing in Tottenham.
So what's 8 plus 6 and
plus 6 would be
8 minus 6 plus 6. So what's noon time? As I freeze here, are y'all with me?
Yeah, we're with you. It'd be 6 p.m. I think if they were playing at noon here.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so that's not as bad. Just a night game. Okay.
Not atrocious, but also not the best.
Yeah, circadian rhythms have been thrown off at this point. So you like the Colts. You're with me, James. Colts plus 4. Jacob Marshall, what do you think?
So I am, first of all, Colts money line. I'm all in. I think Jags are going down. They're coming off a big win. They're going to have not only the flight hangover, but the hangover from beating the Bills. I'm interested in the over-under here. First game, Jags won 31-21, but I'm really feeling the under on the. I think this one's going to be ugly. So I'm going to bet the money line on the Colts and bet the under.
So a double bet on the game. Colts money line, Colts under from Jacob Marshall. And sorry, James, was that a money line recommendation for you or a money line?
I think we both know. I think we both.
I think we both know. For me, Colts plus 4 is my official recommendation. Miles, what do you think, buddy?
I don't like this one enough to wager on it, but I do agree with all the points you guys are making in that I just don't think the Jaguars actually have a real solid team this year at all. Their only impressive win was largely because of all the travel conditions that you guys mentioned. Yeah. If I had to bet, I'd probably go Indianapolis, just money line win. But that 4 point, anytime that it's that tight with two just bad teams, it's just too much up in the air.
Yeah. Speaking of up in the air, the Minnesota Vikings minus Justin Jefferson on IR. It'll be KJ Osborne. It'll be Jordan Addison. It'll be TJ Hawkinson. It'll be Alexander Madison and Kirk Cousins against the Bears defense. The Bears getting 2.5 points at home. Justin Fields ran the ball for the first time this season. I think he had 11 carries, was very successful. Offense looked good. Granted, that was a Dick Butkus death game, which is why I bet the Bears on Thursday night. They did have a long break. The spirit of Dick Butkus is no longer in Chicago. He has transcended into whatever happens next. And for that reason, I'm passing on this game. James, what do you think?
Yes, much like Dick Butkus passed on life, I'm going to pass. The only thing I will say for anybody out there, if you want to be the Jags, It is supposed to be raining in Chicago. Last time it flooded in Soldier Field, worked out pretty well.
Right.
So maybe perhaps that is a sign, but yeah, I don't like it.
Okay, and I think Jacob Marshall is taking a pee-pee break, so he passes on this. And Miles, what do you think?
I really, my no-brainer instinct is to say that the Vikings have this because of how bad the Bears have been. But after watching the Bears this last Thursday, it felt like something was starting to click there, at least more so than it has the entire rest of the season, for sure. This is another battle of one out of fours. I wouldn't bet on the Special Olympics. I don't want to bet on this either.
Well, I would bet on the Special Olympics, but I am betting on this game. Jacob Marshall, back from a PP break. Do you have a pick for Minnesota Vikings or the Bears?
I have zero interest in this game. I think it's a shit show, and I don't want to lean either way.
Hell yeah, so that's a triple pass on us for that game. We're going to sit back and watch it and enjoy the Special Olympics that is the Vikings and the Bears. Moving on to our next 12 o'clock game. The Seattle Seahawks going in to the Bengals. And I want to bet this game so bad, you guys. I really, really do. The Seahawks coming off of a bye, looking a little bit better than we were expecting. Geno Smith really getting back into the groove of things. But guess who else is getting back into the groove of things? Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals, looking spectacular against, a below-average defense last week. But Joe Burrow looked fast. There are reports coming out of camp. My sources are telling me that Joe Burrow is feeling back to 100% with that calf. Bengals getting minus 3 points at home, which basically indicates Vegas thinks they are a neutral game. I would lean, if anywhere, I would lean to the Bengals, but I just think the Seahawks are a really good team too. I'm hoping this game stays close so I can bet on the Bengals and the Seahawks next week, coming off of what we're going to see next week. So I'm passing on this game. James, what do you think?
Well, I will say, if you do ever want to bet on the Special Olympics, the 2000 Spanish Paralympic basketball team was a fantastic bet. Had zero actual Paralympians on it. I really, really like the Seahawks game. I like Pete Carroll having the extra week of preparation. I do think it's a little bit early for the West Coast team there, but they're going to be on the right circadian rhythm with that extra week. And much like Skyline Chili, I think Kenneth Walker will just run through.
I love it. And I love Kenneth Walker. So that's a money line recommendation for you, Mr. James, if I know you. Hell
yes,
yeah.
sir.
So that is 3+ money line recommendations, 3 underdog money line recommendations coming from James thus far, and a bonus bet that I talked him into. So definitely don't bet on that one. Jacob Marshall, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this one could go either way. I'm interested in the over in this game. I think we could have a shootout here. And I'm predicting that they're going to end up somewhere in the 50 to 60 point range combined. So I'm going to take the over.
Over in the Seattle game, over 45.5. And Miles Francis, what do you think, buddy?
I think Joe Burrow is only feeling 100% because he played against the Cardinals defense last week. And as soon as he gets smacked in the mouth by the Seattle Seahawks, we're going to see him right back in the same form that we saw him in the first 4 weeks of the season. So I'm with James. Take the Seahawks to the money line on this one.
Someone is salty about their fantasy team.
Bro, I'm winning. I don't know what you're talking about. I just took down our number one player in the league this last week. He was undefeated until he went up against this. That was Jamie, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely murdered me. Did not have a good week. Had a few buys. What am I going to do? Miles kicked my ass. You also had DJ Moore, I think. Yeah.
I did not.
Oh, you
did
didn't?
not have DJ Moore, no.
Never mind. I have no more excuses. Thank you for one of the other 5 teams.
I actually just barely beat the league median this week. Your team was just excessively bad.
Yeah, we had a rough one last week over there in the D-Town League. But yeah, Bobby Wagner playing like a superstar right now for the Seattle Seahawks, kind of right back at home. I think he's like 34 years old at this point. Doesn't look like he's missed a step. Had a great game 2 weeks ago. Coming off of a bye. But we're going to stop talking about this game, and we are going to move on to our next game. The New Orleans Saints going in to Houston and playing the Texans. I have a strong lean in one direction. Derek Carr looked very healthy last week after 2 weeks ago looking horrible. Alvin Kamara, of course, still kind of getting ingrained with that offense. It's a high-flying offense. Olave had a bad week in the passing department last week. So did the Houston Texans. Houston Texans really struggled against Atlanta last week, surprisingly so, after watching C.J. Stroud start to rip apart the other previous 4 games, or 3 games, really had a bad week 1. Maybe the NFL is starting to figure out Stroud in Houston. Maybe New Orleans is starting to figure it out. That defense is certainly, still pretty solid in New Orleans. I want to bet New Orleans, but I just love the other game so much. I just want to bet more money on them instead. So I'm going to pass on this game. James, what do you think?
Yeah, I was considering the Texans on this one, but just couldn't pull the trigger. I think, honestly, if you're going to bet something on this, take a Saints alternate line, -6.5. This game could go over 2 ways. It's going to be like the Falcons game last week where the Saints dropped down, kick field goals, beat the Texans at the end of the game, or the Saints are going to absolutely blow them. Those are the 2 possibilities I see going here. So probably if you want to get some value and you do believe in the Saints like Jamie does, probably an alternate spread on this.
Yeah, I don't mind it. James always fishing for that plus money. Make sure you shop those lines, kids, because, some sports books will really rip you off if they're selling points to you or buying points from them. Jacob Marshall?
Yeah, I'm looking at past Texans games right now. Honestly, I think I'm going to pass on this one. It's just fine. It's bad against bad. I think the Saints are the better team. I think more than likely the Saints are going to probably win by a field goal, so I would lean Saints -1.5, but it's just going to be ugly. Yeah. The NFC South is my second most hated division in the NFL.
Miles Francis?
I don't want to bet on this one. I don't feel like the consistency is there on either side, and yeah, there's just no value in that bet to me.
Moving on. Yeah, no reason to bet on that. We've already got some. Jacob Marshall has 5 bets already. We're not even in the 3 o'clock games yet, so lay off if you can. Speaking of laying off of games, Washington Commanders, Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are favored by 2.5 at home, which indicates they're virtually even teams, which I share that opinion. I think we do have one analyst on the board who is openly against the Washington Commanders, which why wouldn't you be, other than Sam Howell? And the Washington Commanders over there. The Falcons have a great running back. Their quarterback is questionable. Had a good game. Drake London had a good game. Just not enough for me to get excited about either of these teams. I think this line is spot on, so I am laying off it. James, what do you think?
I have my final pick on the noon slate here. I have the Commanders. I was unimpressed by the Falcons last week against the Texans. I think they lucked out on that game. I think the Commanders have those extra days coming off of a Thursday night game to get extra couple of days to prepare for this team. So I do think these teams are neutral teams, coin flip. However, those extra days of preparation really matter. So I like the Commanders, and I liked it. Can you believe it? It's the plus money line at +1.
What? So that is.
I know. It's something that I don't often do, but I'm just going out loud.
Make an exception for this one.
That is 4 underdog, which honestly James has done the best, I think, so far this season unit-wise, as far as recommended bets on the podcast. So, hey, I wouldn't recommend betting money line in the NFL, but James has proven me wrong every single week. Moving on to Jacob Marshall. What do you think, buddy?
Yeah, it's an ugly game. Another ugly one. Part of me wants to bet Falcons out of spite against the Commanders for not for football reasons, but for work reasons. The Commanders won't answer my phone calls. Other than that, You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to bet -2.5 out of spite.
For the best reason possible.
Screw the bye week that the Commanders
And you thought James had insider information. We're getting some real heat from Jacob Marshall right now.
Yeah, VP of marketing for the Washington Commanders. Answer your phone, dude. Okay.
It's obviously an organizational problem. It comes all the way from the bottom and works its way up to the field.
To the marketing department. Even with them coming off the Thursday night football game, a little extra rest, you know what? Spite says the Falcons will win this game by 3 points.
The first ever spite pick business-wise that has been openly made on this channel. I love it, Jacob Marshall. Miles, what do you think?
I openly talked about how I think the Commanders are a terrible team earlier. At the same time, I do not understand how the Falcons have a winning record right now. I also see them as just a very bad team. This goes in my Special Olympics category.
Yeah, not going to watch or not going to bet on it because you wouldn't bet the Special Olympics. Miles Francis, a very prudent, disciplined gambler thus far early on in the slate. Moving on to the New England Patriots, getting 3 points at the Raiders Stadium. The New England fans are not going to show up at Vegas. They'll be there. You know, it'll be kind of probably the first Vegas Raiders home game. The Raiders have Max Crosby, who's looking insane. Bob Spillane, by way of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, by way of Tennessee, by way of Western Michigan University. 2 interceptions last week. New England Patriots, absolute dumpster fire. My number worst ranked team in my power rankings, the New England Patriots. The Raiders, not even in my bottom 5. So what does that tell you? Give me the Raiders. Patriots, absolutely imploding. -3 at actual home this time. Give me the Raiders all day, every day. My name's Jamie Jakes. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it just feels like, especially with Jimmy Garoppolo channeling that Tom Brady energy last night. I think the Raiders make a lot of sense here. I didn't really bet it. I just can't get past the fact that it's Vegas Raiders. I just don't trust them. But I agree with you. That's the correct lean on this one.
Yeah, and the reason you can't trust them, right? But at the same time, it's only 3 points, and this Patriots team is just such a fucking clusterfuck. It's so bad. It's bad, bad, bad. So James sounds like a lean, not a recommendation. Jacob, what do you think?
Correct.
I'm in the same boat as James here. I lean Raiders, but yeah, I just can't trust them, so I'm not going to place a bet on that.
Miles?
Y'all are overthinking again. This is an obvious Las Vegas
I knew
Raiders. They're going to cover 3 points without a shadow of a doubt. That's like such a low number. I don't even think the Patriots are as bad as Jamie does, and I still look at this and just see easy money.
I knew this was going to be a Miles Francis no-brainer recommendation, and it is. The only reason that this line isn't worse is because, A, the Raiders aren't super reliable, and B, it's still Bill Belichick. It's still the New England Patriots. That's the uniforms they're wearing. But if the New England Patriots team was coached by Matt LaFleur and wearing a Lions jersey, this line would not be this close. This line would be like closer to 6 for the Raiders. That's how bad the Patriots have played this year so far. So we got 2 bets on the Raiders. I'm really loving where we're at this week. I feel like we are really starting to hammer down these Vegas books. Moving on to the Philadelphia Eagles and the Jets. Man, the Jets found a way to win in a revenge game. They found a way to get themselves amped up again, to get excited to play football when your starting quarterback is Zach Wilson. They found a way to motivate themselves last week, and they got a big win against, bless you, Jacob Marshall.
Excuse me.
They found a way to get a big win against the Broncos, which is my 5th worst ranked team in the NFL. The Jets are not in that range for me. I don't think they're that bad. They might be my 6th worst team, though. I don't see how the Jets keep it this close but at the same time, I don't love it. So if anything, I guess I would lean the Eagles -7 at New York. Jalen Hurts on the right trajectory. My second favorite team in the NFL, but they are on the road. It is potentially going to be a tough matchup. So I am going to lay off it for now. By the way, Jalen Carter last week went from 50% or less in the first 5 games, snap percentage, to 70%. He had 2 sacks this game. So maybe we look in for a spicy little sack prop bet. Jalen Carter over half a sack. It's Jalen Carter's season. And I think the Jets' offensive line will oblige him. James, what do you think?
Yeah, I know. Hopefully Jalen Carter gets to the field as long as somebody takes away his car keys whenever he's out late at night.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Shout out to the University of Georgia staff for letting multiple people drive drunk for multiple functions.
Where'd you go to college again, James?
I went to Alabama. Kirby Smart literally stole everything and actually had our watermark on some of his documents when he went to the University of Georgia. I was too lazy to even get rid of it. That tells you all how I feel about that.
More of that on James, by the way.
Every once in a while, I'll throw one in. No, I mean, I feel like this is an obvious Eagle one. The Jets, they're excited, but they're probably not going to pull out a lot. Honestly, if I had to pick something on this one, I'm going with the under here, under 41. I feel like the Eagles stumble a little bit. That Jets defense is still good, but Zach Wilson just doesn't make points. So under 41 would be my only lean.
And that's a lean out of you?
That's a lean. All
right, Jacob, what do you think?
Also hesitant to bet this one. I would probably lean Eagles -7 here. I think they can push their way to a 10-point victory.
They literally could.
But yeah, other than that, I don't know. Just Jets are weird this year. That Kansas City game's got me a little thrown off with them. But
yeah, I think there will be a heartbreaking defeat at some point because they're still playing hard, and that's been the big surprise to me. Like you said, Jacob, that they're really hard to get a gauge of because when Aaron went down, they didn't rally. They crumbled, and then Aaron was out of the facility for 2 weeks, I believe, and then he comes back, and then all of a sudden the Jets seem like they're trying again. I don't know if Aaron's like telling them like, hey, like. This Jets team, or, I'm coming back week 10, just keep it close. Win me 4 games out of 10, and I'll take the reins and we'll go undefeated the rest of the season to the Super Bowl. Or maybe he's just actually a good leader, which is also a possibility. Talking about Aaron Rodgers getting back in the facility. But at some point, this excitement in the Jets organization just isn't going to last. And they're going to crumble. And I'm not going to predict that it's this week. But once their hearts are broken, I am going to hammer whoever they're playing against, happen to be playing against last week. Miles, what do you think?
Did Joel get confused and hear that Aaron Rodgers was returning to the facility and think that he was going to play? Because this is another no-brainer that you guys are absolutely overthinking. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to destroy the Jets. This is silly that you guys are making it seem like it's going to be some sort of hero story coming out of the Northeast. It's not.
I love it. Yeah, just another no-brainer bet. So Miles Francis, San Francisco -5.5, Dolphins -13.5, Raiders -3, and Eagles -7.
And I have Seattle +3 as well.
Seattle +3. Thank you, Miles.
Yeah.
+3. So you do have one bet on an underdog so far, but hey, he ain't gonna overthink it, and he ain't gonna tell you he's gonna overthink it.
That's not what I do, baby.
I love it, Miles. Moving on to the Detroit Lions going into Tampa Bay. My number 5 ranked team going into Tampa Bay and facing, I believe, James, did you say that one of you said that Tampa Bay should be in the top 10 in power rankings? I believe it was. Yeah, James, it was James. Thinks they should be top 10. Baker Mayfield. Hey, I love me some Baker Mayfield. I also love me some Lions. I'm not going to bet this game. I I don't know if Mike Evans is playing. I couldn't even give you a percentage of if I think he's playing or not. So for that sole reason, I'm just laying off this game. I'm hoping the Lions can grab another win here and just take a stranglehold on the division. Not even going to lean either direction. Also don't know if Amon-Ra's back. I would say there's probably like a 70% chance he's back. Jahmyr Gibbs, whether he's back or not, I don't care. David Montgomery's obviously the best running back on the team at the moment. So I'm laying off it. James, what do you think?
Buccaneers coming off the bye week here, but Baker probably didn't get a lot of rest after that Texas OU game. We took about 18 bottles at Bottle Blonde later that night. That was a wild one. Shout out Baker picking up that tab. I lean Buccaneers money line. I just can't pull the trigger on it. Not yet. I don't know. You know what? If an NFL TV map comes out and we're getting that game, I'm gonna throw money on the Buccaneers now. But I just can't make an official bet. So my only lean would be a shocking plus money line on the Buccaneers.
Yeah, this is like a game where like I don't want to bet against the Lions right now, and I don't want to bet against Baker Mayfield right now. So I'm just gonna watch it and enjoy a 3:00 game. Why wouldn't I? Jacob Marshall, what are you doing?
I think y'all are nuts on this. Y'all are higher on the Bucs than I am. The Bucs are 3-1. Their 3 wins are over the Saints, the Bears, and the Vikings.
Very fair.
I do not think they're good. I think hammering Detroit -3.
Wow.
I'm hammering that. I agree with you. Detroit is a legit top 5 team in the NFL right now. I do not think the Bucs are even sniffing the top 10. Sorry, James. I apologize. Hammering -3 for the Lions on this one.
I love it. Miles, is this a no-brainer bet for you or not?
The only no-brainer on this one is I do bet that this will be a very good game. I don't think it's worth betting on just because both teams either of these teams I could see winning this game, and I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this one.
Yeah. I think if Mike Evans is out, Amon-Ra's in, this line might move to Lions -5.5. Maybe it'll get to 5. I don't know.
By the way, even with Mike Evans playing and Amon-Ra out, I think Lions win by 10.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's bet of the year for Jacob Marshall. Bet of the year. Body.
Lock of the year.
There.
Mortgage payment bet.
There you go.
Okay. I mean, I love it, but I did grow up a Lions fan, and they are still wearing those uniforms. So
it's true.
Everyone said what they wanted to say about that game.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, getting towards the end here. I'm seeing Sunday night. I'm seeing Monday night. Last 3 games. Cardinals, 7 points at L.A. Cardinals still. Josh Dobbs looking all right. They didn't cover last week. Rams are 7-point favorites. Cooper Kupp is back, and guess what? Puka Nacua still put up 74 in a tud. What if he just became the touchdown threat for this team as Cooper Kupp works a little bit more underneath like they did in week 1? That's not what's going to happen. You know why? Because Sean McVay is in charge of that offense, and he's just going to mix it up every week. You don't know what you're going to get. Tutu Atwell playing well. The Rams did trade away Van Jefferson, as my cat is messing with something in the background. I'm laying off of it. If anything, I lean the over 48.5. I think that's something the Rams can kind of cover on their own against this Cardinals defense. But Josh Dobbs, just too good. James Conner out for a couple of weeks. I don't know if he's officially on IR. I think they're expecting him, if he's not officially on IR yet, for the Cardinals. I don't want it. I don't want anything about this. So I'm laying off it. James, what do you think?
Oh man, I don't want any part of this either. Yeah, no thank you on this one. Not even a lean. Throw that one out with garbage. It is garbage day here over on Throck. So I'll throw these lines out with the trash I did today.
Beautiful. Jacob Marshall, what do you think?
Looking up a line here. I got a prop bet on this one.
Uh-oh. Derivatives. Here we go.
First touchdown, Imari DiMercado.
Here we go. The undrafted rookie coming in. How much fab you got bid on DiMercado, Jacob Marshall?
Oh, I would put a lot of money on this one. TCU great, Imari DiMercado, okay? He was Kendre Miller's backup in college, and he is the superior NFL running back. He is scoring the first touchdown. James Conner's out. Okay, maybe this one's a biased bet, but I'm hammering it, okay?
Couple of bets.
Where did you go to school again, Jacob?
It's in Fort Worth. We lost the national championship game last year, and we suck at football this year. There's your
We
hint.
sure do. That Colorado win does not look as quality as I thought it did coming out of week 1, but
I told you.
you sure did. I thought both teams were going to be fine for the rest of the season. Colorado almost beat USC, by the way. That did happen. Nobody watched it because it was at like 1 a.m. for whatever reason. But yeah, anyways, Miles, what do you think?
I feel like these two teams, again, playing to not be worst in their division. Very, very unpredictable teams. Inconsistent across the board, staying all the way away from this one, though. Another game that I think could be surprisingly entertaining just as a game to watch.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think this 3 o'clock slate is going to be freaking sweet. I really do. Kind of like last 3 o'clock slate, honestly. We're going to get to watch the Eagles play the Jets, which we're all going to have a great time doing. We're going to see New England Patriots play the Raiders. It'll be a close game. We're going to, see Bill Belichick play for his life. We're going to see Robert Saleh and the Jets play for their life. So Aaron Rodgers can come back in week 9.5 and take the reins for Zach Wilson. We're going to see the Lions and the Bucks and the Cardinals and the Rams. I think will be 2 relatively high scoring games. And regardless, it'll be fun for me to watch as long as the Lions win. Moving on to our Sunday night football game. It's going to be a barn burner. It's going to be the Giants. It's going to be the Bills. The Bills are getting 14 points at home against the Giants, one of my least favorite teams. My third worst team against my third best team in the power rankings. I'm laying off of it. The Bills on the right trajectory. The Giants not on the right trajectory. 14 points seems about right. I think the Bills are 14 points better than the Giants, so I'm laying off of it. James, what do you think?
I think the Giants lay down on this one. I think this one is probably going to be 20, 21 points perhaps. Obviously, what the alternate spread is. I would lean towards Buffalo. You can get a -20. I'm seeing -17 is the most I can get, but I think this one's just going to be, turn it off in the first 7 minutes, basically. We might as well not even air it. We should just air something else, maybe a rerun.
How many years do you have to go back when the last time the Giants were good? Let's play one of those games.
Didn't they? They made the playoffs.
Well, whenever they beat Tom Brady with the helmet grab.
The helmet catch, yeah.
Yeah. Jacob Marshall, what do you think about this game?
I'm not interested in betting this one. I think more than likely Buffalo's going to run the score up. But
wait, Jacob, you're telling me you don't want that -900 money line?
Parlay that -800 and -900.
I think I'm going to do that, actually. Thank you for pointing that out, Miles. I didn't look at the money line on this one. Miles just made me a lot of money.
Yeah.
I am betting my student loan payments on this parlay. Okay. Dolphins money line, Bills money line. Thank you, Miles. You made my week.
Hell yeah. And Miles, what do you think about this game?
Bills, dude. Stop thinking, guys.
Jesus
Just turn
Christ.
your brains off and realize there's no possible way that the Buffalo Bills don't just run over the New York Giants for an hour straight.
You are 1 pick 6 away from not covering, and I just don't trust Josh Allen that much to cover 14.5. But I love it, Miles. I love it. -14 bet recommendation here. Going into our final game, it's Monday night, and it's a primetime game, so there's a 33% chance that the Cowboys will be playing in it. And they're going into LA, and they're playing the Chargers at LA, at SoFi. Chargers 2-point underdogs to the Cowboys. When we're thinking about matchups, we're thinking, what are the Chargers good at? They're good at offense. Keenan Allen coming off of a bye, still healthy. I think Austin Eckler all the way back. Have we confirmed that or not? I don't know. I assume he is. What are the Cowboys good at? Defense. What are they bad at? Offense. Does it matter who's on defense when it comes to Dak Prescott? No. With all that being said, I lean the Chargers +2. I don't like it that much. I like all the other games a lot more, so I'm going to lay off of it and just put every single dollar I have on the Niners -5.5 at Cleveland on the road, because that's just too obvious to me. James, what do you think?
Yeah, I know Jacob and I will definitely disagree on this one based on previous comments. I'm going Chargers on this one. Taking Chargers money line. Big Herbert fan. Big fan of this Chargers defense. I think Joey Bosa is probably going to get hyped up on a couple of Joe Rogan podcasts before this game. Get a couple of sacks in this one. So I'm taking the Chargers money line.
Chargers money line. So that is all underdog bets for James. Taking the home underdog, never a bad bet. Sometimes a bad bet, but when it's against the Cowboys, you got to feel pretty good about it. Jacob, what do you think?
I mean, I kind of hinted at it on the last pod, and it hurts me to say this. The Chargers have Quentin Johnston, Darius Davis, and Max Duggan, TCU greats, but
is Max Duggan on the 53-man roster? Or is
he is on the practice squad, okay?
But it counts,
Rookie quarterback from TCU. Go ahead, Jacob.
But as I said earlier, bounce back games are the Cowboys' favorite thing. And I think they win this game by 10. So I'm going to take Cowboys -2.
Calling the bounce back, which, hey, I mean, that's kind of why I'm off it, honestly, because I do think the Chargers are just kind of the better team, and matchup-wise, match up better to the Cowboys. But at the same time, I'm just like, this is a primetime Cowboys bounce back game. I think Dak's not quite done yet in the NFL. Maybe he is for the Cowboys. Well, no, he's not because of the contract for the Cowboys next season. So that's the reason I'm laying off it. But you're on the Cowboys. James is on the Chargers. And I think that's the first legitimate crossfire that we have had all night. We think extremely alike, which I don't like. I wish we disagreed with each other a little bit more. Maybe we talk to each other a little bit too much. But I love a little bit of crossfire action to end the slate for Week 6. Miles, what do you think?
I think that it is irresponsible to bet on anything Dallas Cowboys related this season. They are so all over the place. Yeah. I would have lost so much money on the Cardinals game had I bet it. I would not have bet that they would have gotten blown away like they did by the 49ers. I thought that was going to be at least a competitive game that they lost. At this point, if you have a friend that you see walking towards a bookie with like a handful of cash, you should slap their hand and get it away from them as far as possible. The Cowboys are just an absolute wild card, and I would not want to bet on this game at all.
Hell yeah. So that's 2 passes and 2 likes, a crossfire, our only crossfire of the night on Monday Night Football. And that has been the NFL Week 6 preview and the gambling recommendations. I feel really good about this one. If you haven't been riding with us lately, ride with us on this one, because I think we're going to make you guys a whole lot of money here in Week 6, right when we kind of get into the groove of things here. James, thank you for being on as always, our Alabama insider. Not a public figure, but would you like to tell the crowd anything, Mr. James?
Yeah, if you ever want an OP strategy for winning bets with a bookie, just find one in Dallas and just keep betting against the Cowboys, because they get so much money on the Cowboys that their lines go ridiculously high for the opponents every time. So,
brilliant.
Yeah, if you want some gambling advice in life, find a Dallas bookie and just keep betting.
Gambling advice from James, just do some illegal shit, you know? I'm going to put it out there on YouTube. I love it. Jacob Marshall, what do you think?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This was fun as always. Last note, follow me on Instagram. I wasn't smart like Miles Francis and put my Instagram handle on my name. Should have done that. But Jacob Marshall Comedy on Instagram and TikTok. You can find me there. I have some shows coming up, so it'll be fun.
Yep, Jacob Marshall, local comedian here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So if you are in the area, go and watch him tell jokes. They are funny. You could even see him at open mics that I host. But we're not going to talk about that. We are going to talk about Miles Francis, Mr. Most Days Off, on social media. What do you got to say, buddy?
Yep, follow me everywhere online at Mr. Most Days Off. And much like James, I also recommend you go out and do some illegal shit.
Yeah. Yep, allegedly. Mr. Miles and I are on a I know what you guys are thinking. We tuned in and watched 45 minutes of sports gambling, NFL talk. How do we see these guys in Harry Potter drag show, right? We are doing a comedy Harry Potter roast battle drag show. I am Professor Snape, and Miles, you are whom?
Luna Lovegood.
A lady in the Harry Potter universe. Get your tickets to that, guys. Or bring your significant others who like Harry Potter, whatever. It'll be actually genuinely a good time. Mana always puts on an excellent show. This has been What Are We Talking About with Jamie Jakes. I am him. Please subscribe. Please leave a like. Please leave a comment. If you made some money, send it to us because we need it. Thank you.
We should start a Patreon to fund all these bets.
Thank you and good night.